All right, welcome back. The death of Attahiru. Retired military officer condemns use of baby pilots to fly service chiefs. All right, the news in details. A former military intelligence officer, Captain Omar Babangida, has now expressed his bitterness. All right, and then on to this one. The military intelligence officer, Captain Omar Babangida, retired, has said that it was wrong for flight lieutenants in the Nigerian Air Force with little or no experience to be assigned to fly service chiefs across the country. While reacting to the death last Friday of the Chief of the Army Staff, Lieutenant General Ibrahim Attahiru, in her plane crash in Kaduna State, Babangida said his course mate, who was a NIF officer but now works in an international airline, flew into Kaduna State and landed safely at the same airport about the same time the tragedy happened. Babangida, in an interview on AIT Online, noted that his course mate had been flying for over 20 years, and the experience he had gathered from the field could not be quantified with flight lieutenants who have less than 5 years of flying experience. The former military intelligence officer said training comes for every pilot, but flying is a practical thing. The older you are in that field, the more seasoned you are. So you don't expect a pilot who has been flying for just 6 years to be as experienced as a pilot who has been flying for 20 years. I don't think you will find any 6-year-old pilot on the president's fleet. Let us use our universities for an example. There are many roles which require seasoned professors and to which you cannot assign a graduate assistant. The same thing happens when it comes to flying. I can tell you quite confidently that another coursemate of mine landed in Kaduna within the time that crash happened, and he told us that the entire weather and atmosphere was red with dust. He works for an international airline and told us that he needed the experience in the profession to land. The moment he landed, he knew there would be no taking off for them until further notice. This colleague of mine, who is also an ex-NAF officer, has been flying for more than 20 years. If you are 20 years in the NAF, if you are not a general, you should be sweating to become one. Why would flight lieutenants be flying a lieutenant general? All of them went to flying school, no doubt about that, but from flying school onward, the older you are on the job, the more experienced you are. It is not just something you just allow anybody to go and do. It requires a lot of experiences. All right, and then flight lieutenants are still baby pilots. For flight lieutenants to fly a lieutenant general, come on. All right, and then this had been said so far. Well, this is serious. Well, on to the fact, a lot of people have actually sympathized with the family of the late chief of staff. Well, and even the family of the other lieutenant and majors that died alongside in the same plane. Well, General Ibrahim Attahiru, the Chief of Army Staff, has died in a plane crash. Details of the incident are still sketchy, but Sarah reporters learned from a military source that there was no survivor in the crash that occurred on Friday. The Chief of Army Staff is the highest ranking military officer of the Nigerian Army. The position is often occupied by the most senior commissioned officer appointed by the President of Nigeria. The current Chief of Army Staff was no involved in that crash. Well, that fatal plane crash. Well, and then the President Muhammadu Buhari on Tuesday, meanwhile, earlier in January 26, 2021, appointed new service chief, finally letting go of the Chief of Defense, Chief General Abayomi Oloni, sacking Chief of Army Staff Lieutenant General Toko Buratai, Chief of Naval Staff Vice Admiral Ibok Ete-Ibas, and the Chief of Air Staff Air Marshal Sadiq Abubakar after the four had spent 5 years and 5 months in office. Meanwhile, Attahiru'S served as the theater commander Operation Lafiya before he was removed from the position barely 9 months after he was appointed in 2017. During his tenure as the theater commander Operation Lafiya, the theater recorded many successes against the insurgents following concerted efforts of troops in the newly launched Operation Deep Punch 2 and then Operation Ruwan Wuta in Sambisa Forest. Some of the operations he led resulted in the killing of 2 key Boko Haram commanders, Abdul Kawuri and Abubakar Benishek at Alafa in the Bema local government area of Borno State. His redeployment followed the deadliest attacks by Boko Haram insurgents on Biu town in Borno, where at least 18 people were killed and 52 others seriously injured. General Attahiru'S was redeployed to Nigerian Army headquarters as Deputy Chief of Policy and Plans. He was former general officer commanding 82 Division of the Nigerian Army, Enugu. All right, and then our prayer has been that the good Lord will give the family of the departed fortitude to bear this loss. It's another great one. Well, according to what has been gathered, it has been said that baby pilots should not be allowed to fly service chiefs. All right, and this had been said by a former military intelligence officer, Captain Omar Babangida. Well, a lot of people have actually reacted to that. Well, what more can we say? Our prayer is that the good Lord will give the family fortitude to bear the loss of the ones who died in this plane crash. All right, that is it on this one. Meanwhile, let me have more take from you on this, and remember to subscribe for more updates. Thanks and God bless.